So yeah, I'm recording right now, y'all. If you can't tell, you feel me, we on Twitch this time though. Hey, make sure y'all join the Twitch, you feel me, when y'all watch this video, so y'all can be a part of the streams. Because if you don't show up to my Twitch, I'm gonna think you're a bitch, and I know y'all don't want that, you feel me. So make sure that y'all show up. It's important. But the question I want to ask y'all is, somebody tweeted at me and said, I think it's like, you know, of course we're going to hype up Luffy's form, hype up what Luffy got going on, things like that. Correct. Everybody's going to do that. But he thinks that people that have issues with Luffy's form, or that don't like Luffy's form,
I need that,
shouldn't be shamed for not liking it, and they should be heard out, because some people aren't going to like this. And I've seen some people say they didn't really like it. They've given me the reason why they don't really like it. I just haven't been listening because I just don't care right now. Like I'm so hyped right now that like I just don't want to hear the negatives. I don't really care. But I think it's important to have that discourse. So if there's anyone like in VC right now, or anyone in the chat that has anything negative to say about Luffy's form, I want to discuss it. Like, what, for anyone that doesn't really like it, or they don't really think it fits with One Piece, or it's not fitting with Luffy, or it changes Luffy in any way, I want to discuss that, because I feel like we should be fair and like hear people out on like their thoughts on like how they feel about Luffy and what's going on. So I want to know, for anyone watching right now in the chat, let me know. And in VC, is there anybody here that has any negatives or criticism about it?
Yeah, I do, Sen. So my nika is, okay, so for a long time we've always thought that Luffy was a paramecia and he goes to Zoan. My issue is with Nika, and it's like, he's rubber. Where did this rubber come from? Because I was looking at the mythos, like, because Nika is based off of Nike, that like the Greek goddess, I think it was. I didn't see anything that said rubber. Where does the rubber come from? Is it from freedom or athleticism? Because I don't get that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, bro. When they emphasize, the Gorosei basically, just to give y'all the TLDR, what they said was, this fruit is one that's only limited by, you know, the use. It's said. Let me clarify that. They said it's said that the fruit is only limited by the user's imagination. So we have that. It's said that they still have rubber properties, the properties of rubber. And it said that once they awaken, they strengthen and become even more free. That's like the TLDR for the fruit. So when I read all of that, I also am like curious if there's any sort of like mythos connection, or any type of like connection to Luffy's fruit that fits with the rubber aesthetic, because I can't see a world in which Oda would just make him rubber just because, unless like, and I don't want to think that Oda just like started off the story, because there's so much foreshadowing looking back, that I think he had in mind that Luffy's fruit was going to be different. Like, even if you look at chapter 1, how they were reacting to Luffy eating the fruit, like Lucky Roo's freaking out, they had a drawn picture of the fruit. Like, there's stuff that you can look at that was like, okay, maybe people knew this fruit was special somehow. So I don't want to think Oda just made it rubber at first and then changed it halfway through, like, oh, I'm gonna make my mythical zone. Like, I think that he had this in mind. Like, I believe he had it in mind, but I'm trying to find a connection as well. Like, where does rubber fit into this? Does anybody in VC have any thoughts or like theories on that?
Yeah. So I'm thinking that the reason why the Nika fruit had the rubber properties in the first place is because of the perception of Luffy himself and what the properties of the fruit were to him. Like, he doesn't know that it's the Nika fruit, as far as we know. Maybe Shanks did, probably, but the way I see it, I don't think Luffy knows or will find out about this until like maybe the end game of One Piece.
Yeah.
Polar Bear, can you please stop spamming in chat? I can see your message. Also, I'm giving VC roles to like content creators and like people I know, so I'm not just giving them to chat, unfortunately, but I'd appreciate it if you didn't keep spamming. Like, I see your message, but I have eyes, bro. Like, but
yo,
I kind of wanna go ahead. Hold on, go ahead, Kev. Let Kev get his shit off.
I kind of want to hop on what Jay was just saying with like the perception of Luffy. I don't think that's really true because the world government was literally like, gives you the property of
Yeah,
rubber.
exactly.
Like,
I was about to say
that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's not that Luffy's imagining that, oh, I'm a rubber guy. It literally, they literally state that it has the properties of rubber.
Yeah, I think that the main reason that it chose rubber is because rubber is something that's really pliable and you can do so much with it, and it's kind of meant to really fit along with the freedom, thing. You know
so Shaquan in chat says Brazil, bro. That's where Nika and rubber stuff comes from. I don't know if that's like that. He could make them from Brazil, like due to the fact that like rubber is like could come from Brazil, but I don't think that's like the connection. Like I don't think that's the reason. You feel me? Like, but I think that might have been just Oda being like, oh, haha, he's a rubber guy, Brazil. Like,
I think the problem with Tesla is basically saying is like he added Nika to it. Like, what does that really stands for? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what he was mostly saying. But I think it's just he just used that name because they say Nika is like translated as joy and all that different stuff, right?
Yeah, but it's I understand that.
Yes, I'm just saying. I just think that's why he just put that there because the name didn't really change as much. It's still Gum, but they just put Nika.
I understand that. I understand that, but it's a mythical zone. Like if it was still a paramecia, and it just had this name, I would be like, okay, maybe like. It really is just a rubber fruit, but it's not, bro. It's a mythical zone. It just has the properties of rubber. So it's not just like, it's not just that this is like a rubber fruit that just happened to got some cool name. No, like it has the properties of rubber. Like we're trying to figure out where does rubber come into play? Where does this connect with mythos? Where does this connect with lore? Like why does this fruit specifically have rubber properties?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out something because it's like I don't see the connection between Nika and rubber, like unless we're like it's like freedom aspect. So it's like I'm just like
look at this dude.
That's what I was thinking with the freedom whole thing. It's like you can literally manipulate your body however you want.
We got Fiji in the building. Fiji, if you if just the catch you up to what we're talking about right now, I'm turning this into a video, by the way. We're discussing we're getting the negative stuff out of the way pretty much. So we're like any criticisms that you have with the form or any criticisms you've heard that you want to discuss at all, we're discussing them now.
Specifically or the chapter?
The chapter, the form, we're like the whole video that I'm gonna post is gonna be based around like any like criticisms or controversies around the chapter and the form itself. So like anything against the like hype, because right now it's so hard to be objective because we're all super excited.
Real hype as fuck.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
so that
exactly. Now he's the sun god, but yeah, there's for me right when it comes to criticisms and like little complaints I have is Oda's really gonna
look at this dude.
Like, these niggas looking stupid as fuck right now, and it's really annoying how incompetent they're looking. Because the way he could clear this up really nicely is if Shanks is Shanks came to talk about a certain pirate. What if he went and told them about this fruit now and they just got the information about it? But still, that wouldn't make sense because their dialogue says they've been trying to hunt it down for 800 years. And like, if they know it has the properties of rubber and they've seen Luffy and they know Luffy has been a cause for concern regardless of the fruit. Like Luffy has been the biggest problem they've faced in the last couple of years. He trashed all three world government strongholds, the only three world government strongholds. He's violated the fuck out of the world government multiple times, and they haven't really done anything about that. And now they're just pulling this out of the hat. So I need that Gorosei shit to be cleared up personally, man, because it doesn't make them look good at all.
It makes them look very incompetent, bro.
But my thing about that though is like the Gorosei sent before. Like remember that the entire pre-time skip is like it's a few months. You know what I'm saying? We can't put into an exact time, but it's a few months. And in the hold on, bro. And in the course of that few months, he was at Luffy, a rookie pirate, a startup pirate, was attacked by 2 admirals and a buster call. that is damn near the best that these niggas could possibly send, other than treating him like he Whitebeard and sending the entire Marines. So, and I forgot to add CP9, their second best death squad, right? So like this, I see that like it's like a take that I keep seeing, like that Gorosei didn't do enough. What more could they have done? They sent 2 admirals, the strongest niggas they got. They sent 2 out of 3 of them, and Kuzan just decided to not kill him, and Kizaru, Rayleigh was there and he couldn't get past him.
I think the main issue is that the Gorosei never took initiative at all. And the moments that you brought up, Trip, like for example, like Aokiji or like Kizaru, right? There's specific context to why they were there. Aokiji was never sent. He was just strolling about by himself. And then he just found them there, which is a coincidence. And then with Kizaru, they attacked the Celestial Dragons. Yeah, something that's initiative.
This topic itself.
No, I understand what you're saying, but you have to remember that the fact that this fruit is legendary was a secret. So they're not going to be like, yo, we got to get him because he's Nika. So outside, like regardless of like knowing their intentions, they did send basically everything they could send after Luffy in the few months that he was active before going into hiding for 2 years. In the few months that he was active, he faced more world government and marine opposition than basically any pirate in the world.
Good point. I'm gonna give it to you. You're making a good point right now. I'll give it to you. But at the same time, so 1 second, let me try to say something. So at the same time, what you're trying to say, would you justify this by saying the reason why there's never been a focus on that for them, like for the fruit, is just because it's not something where we were supposed to find out until now?
Well, what I would say is, one, yes, it's not something we're supposed to find out, and 2, we've seen like 4 Gorosei conversations ever. One of them includes, like on panel, them literally saying we cannot afford to ignore Straw Hat Luffy, acknowledging, and this is early. I don't even remember how early it was. This is early.
This is right after Alabasta.
Yeah, exactly. Right after Alabasta said, we cannot afford to ignore this guy. So the Gorosei have never ignored him. The Gorosei always took him serious. Like I said, he's faced more opposition than any pirate on the planet. Is straight up true. You know what I'm saying? It's in a few months. So I just really don't get it. Like what else?
This is a great
particular moment.
This is a great. Go ahead, Eden. Hold on, Eden's been trying to say something. Go ahead, Eden.
Oh, okay.
Not really what they're talking about right now. It was more so like the previous thing about I think Tesla was asking it about what does this have to do with rubber?
Yeah.
So I could be wrong about this. Could be a reach, but from what I found after reading the chapter was it's potentially a reference to an Aztec god, which is a god of fire. And apparently, like from what I've been able to find so far, I still need to like double check other sources. But apparently, like in back in the old times, like Mesoamerica, they were known for creating rubber materials. And it was shit like they made rubber. I mean, they used the rubber to make shit like sandals, balls for ceremonies, and a bunch of other stuff.
Crazy.
Yeah, like sandals, rubber bands, and balls for like ceremonies. But like apparently, like in Mesoamerica, they had like a god of fire and shit.
I found a link to some art where it has an Aztec god, like what's it called, like offering rubber in some.
So it's Aztec related stuff.
Okay. Well, that would kind of fit with the whole Brazil thing too, for real.
And
also Oda. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. It was just like another thing too. It might be the same god, or it might be a different name. I can't tell. But another thing he's known for is being called the creator of life.
Interesting.
But what I was gonna say is Oda has been on record saying that he wants to visit and like enjoys the culture of the country Maldives, and they actually have a tree which in their language is called the Nika tree, and it's like a very like flexible bendy tree, and I think that's another possible way that he got to that with the Nika.
That's hard. It's probably with Oda. It's probably a combination of just cool shit he's found.
Yeah,
he probably just seen a bunch of cool shit and was like, bro, I'm gonna just make this nigga like off this cool shit, like.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I think that everybody wants to make it like a real life thing, but clearly he wanted to just make his own god. That's what I think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I wanted to connect something. This is a good segue to a same topic, but the different criticism I keep hearing. what Trip brought up. So Trip brings up like, look, man, they sent a bunch of shit at this guy. All right, they've sent a bunch of stuff at this guy. Was it always directly for Luffy? No, sometimes it was indirectly. It could have been somebody in his crew or just people he was around, but they've sent a bunch of shit at him. Is basically what Trip is saying. Do you think that Luffy not being, and this is not my opinion, this is just what I've heard from people, and I just want to ask y'all, do you think any of this, Luffy going through all of this at such an early age in his piracy and getting through all these tough things, has anything to do with destiny? One of the takes that a lot of people I see keep bringing up, that, and this is a criticism that they have, is they feel like this is adding they don't want this to, and this is in the words of the shout out to homie Synsei, he said this is a good way to put it, he doesn't want the destiny shit to get beat over our heads. So do y'all think that Luffy making it to this point without, you know, facing death and basically getting to where he's at, to where he's defeating Kaido, do you think that he was destined to do all of these things, or do you think that he was a fated person who has made the right decisions to get to where he's at?
Yeah, exactly. And then we're even given, like, we're told over and over how durable and able to get back up Zoans are from like the inception of the concept of Zoans, right? Over and over throughout the story, everybody's like, man, them niggas always get up. They're durable as hell. And we didn't know. We just thought every time Luffy got up in a crazy situation, we're like, I don't know, that's just Luffy. But now we know that it's literally because he was a mythical Zoan the whole time.
On the subject of destiny.
The next thing with that as well too, like,
and does that discredit Luffy in any way?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's kind of
no.
Having a fruit doesn't discredit you. Everyone has fruits. like what is it? Like I don't know what this thing about, like, if you don't get everything all the way out the mud and do push-ups for it, it doesn't count. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Of course not. But
on the subject,
it takes one thing that we always thought. It takes one thing that we've always thought. And this is the big distinction, right? Because I'm not saying this. I'm still thinking. I'm still processing with this chapter, right? But one thing the community has always thought, whether or not this has actually been supported by the actual story, but the community has always thought Luffy is someone who took a shit fruit or just a decent fruit, and he personally turned it into something incredible, something extraordinary, and his willpower has gotten through all these fights and all these things, and his utter dedication and what brought him to this current position. But if you're attributing some of those things to the mythical Zoan, if you're giving that to the mythical Zoan,
but we always knew that his fruit gave him exceptional durability. We didn't know that how much because he was a Zoan, but we always knew it gave him exceptional durability. And at the end of the day, he still was just stretching. He had to come up with these techniques. He had to train for 2 years. He had to start using his fruit from 8 years old. Like, all these things are still true. Nothing changed about it. It's just when he awakened it and got the full capabilities of these powers, which took everything that has happened in One Piece for 23 years. Now he's different. You know what I'm saying? But he still had to do everything that led to this. So what's the difference here?
To add to what you were saying, Trip, I think the difference also would be to, like, the whole point about Luffy, like, having that motivation keep going comes down to, like, the whole willpower shit, since that's what One Piece has been heavily based on.
Yeah.
We've seen people with Zoan fruits.
The mythical Zoan didn't save his brother from getting smoked right in front of him.
This is my take, right? My take on it is that when we found out that this fruit is a fruit of freedom, right, and a fruit of imagination, I feel like all of the things Luffy has been doing, and I'm not talking about his physical abilities, but just like not abilities, his physical strength. So I'm not talking about like his durability, his attack speed, all that shit, none of that shit. But his abilities themselves came from his imagination, right?
Exactly.
They explain that the fruit is only limited to the user's imagination. So, like, people were asking questions like, oh, well, did all the users of the fruit have gears, or did all the users of the fruit do this? The users of the fruit did whatever they were imagining.
Exactly.
Like, that's just how the fruit works. So, like, when Luffy created these gears and created Tank Man and Red Hawk and Red Rock, El Thor, all these things that he's doing, it's imagination. It's him imagining him doing these things, bro. Like, and that's just how the fruit works. So, like, I don't want to discredit Luffy as far as, like, his combat, because a lot of people, thing I loved about Luffy was his combat prowess, like being able to take a tough situation and figure some shit out with his fruit to be able to overcome it. He still did that.
Exactly.
It's just the ability of his fruit was for his imagination to work that way. So it's like, I wouldn't look at somebody like Akainu, right? I wouldn't take Akainu and be like, man, I really wish Akainu could, you know, figure out something strong to do to like defeat Whitebeard, and then he uses his Hellhound and be like, man, but that was kind of just his fruit though.
Yeah, that was lava.
Yeah, like I'm not like I wouldn't do that to anyone else. So like I don't want to discredit Luffy in that way. Like, yes, he used his imagination, but that's his fruit.
Yeah,
exactly.
So like anyways, that's my thought on it.
All that started with the Gum pistol. The first thing he told Shanks, even before he had the fruit. Like,
exactly, before he even touched the devil fruit, he said, "My punch is the strongest a pistol." I was just talking about that.
Yeah, and with the question where you brought the question, you said, Sin, like if it's destiny or if he made the right choices. I think it would be a little bit of both, like on different topics. Because like with the destiny, I would say it goes in with like the whole world government and ancient history shit. But the choices he made, that's all him. Like from the first crewmate, he picked them. No one sent them. He picked them himself. So like it's a little of both, basically.
Yeah, that destiny is the sum of your choices. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a little of both.
My thing is that especially in this arc, because something like fate hasn't been as highlighted, I'd say, in any other arc than Wano. Like for example, where you have Yamato talking to Momo, and she was saying, out of the numerous like pirates, right, or whatever, like you happen to meet him, Luffy, brought him to this country. Like I could only consider this an act of fate. Luffy also has the D in his name. You also have like the fact that Oden wanted to open the borders before Joy Boy appears, and here's Joy Boy, and Oden had the prophecy of 20 years from now there's gonna be people that come and help you guys to open the borders, so on and so forth. These fated things, right, that is supposed to happen in a general sense, right? It is like, is your personal choice, right, is an illusion. Like everything that you're doing, if it's bound by fate, you don't actually have real free will. And I do want to see like what Oden's actually going to do about it. If it's just an actual destiny thing, or is it what people consider destiny? It's not actually that, but it's only something that can almost be considered as such. Because I feel like people trying to like, you know, put destiny and free will in the same like bracket and make it out like it could work at the same time. It's not really true unless like there's a god of One Piece that can allow two contradictory like ideas.
Let me bring up this a rebuttal to that, and this is something that Brago brought up. It was a very, very good analogy. I think it works, but he brought up LeBron James. He said, okay, LeBron James was fated to be in the NBA. Like he was gifted with his height, his stature, his ability to be able to play basketball, but he had to earn everything that he got. Like just because he got gifted these amazing things, it was his hard work with his talents or with his gifts that created the opportunity for him to be in the NBA and to be, you know, even if he was to get in the NBA, again, even that was the bare minimum. He was going to get in the NBA. Brago says, like, was he supposed to be the top 2 player in the world ever? Like
crazy stat. 10 out of 100 people who are 7 feet tall make the NBA.
True.
But the thing about that analogy is that if you think that, let's say with LeBron, if you think that he was just destined to join the NBA, and everything that led up to him joining the NBA, right, wasn't necessarily a choice that he made. He had like an illusion of choice, right? But whatever he did, he was going to do regardless. I feel like when people throw around,
whatever anybody does, they were going to do regardless.
Or like something that is predetermined.
You know what's going on? It's just a difference.
When something is when there's something that's predetermined, like let's say tomorrow. Let's say tomorrow I'm going to go to like another country, right? Like I don't know it yet or whatever, but for whatever reason I do, right? And it's a stamped in, like it's a fact. That's what I'm going. I never chose to do that. I just doing it because that's just what's predetermined.
Yeah, but if
for
you
me.
but if you
But if you understand
with
what
that
I'm
with
saying,
that
there's no choice
I
there.
get what you're saying, but with that logic, everything that ever happens to us in life is just destiny then.
That's
So,
just
but
that,
this-
I don't
That's
know.
it. That's part of your own beliefs in, because some
But
people
no,
don't believe that.
but
Some people don't believe that things are predetermined and that everyone has
Hold on,
free
hold on,
will.
hold on, hold
Some
on.
people
No,
do
but
think
so-
that everything's predetermined, and then
there's
the free
like
will
another
there is a bit
concept.
illusional.
But then
There's
I
like
see the reason. Hold on, real quick, Trip. But the reason I don't like that is because if that's the case, then literally nothing that I do in life matters. Because at the end of the day, this is going to happen to me when I'm 57 or 64 or whatever's supposed to happen to me. Then
Some people have that belief.
I understand that. So what you're saying is it's up to a person's beliefs then.
Yeah, that's the reason why this is always going to be so divisive. That's why it's divisive with Naruto fans. That's why it's divisive with One Piece fans. Free will versus like destiny is one of the biggest philosophical like discussions out.
Yeah,
Exactly. And
Hold
then
on,
the
real
stories
quick, real quick.
and the mangaka aren't ignorant of that. You know what I'm saying? When they add these
Of
things,
course.
they're not adding them to like force a side, right? They're leaving it for niggas to decide for
their
themselves.
interpretation.
That's why. Nah, that's why I've already said though. That's why I've already said. I feel like what the latest chapter of One Piece could either be the greatest thing that happened to the series or the worst thing. It just depends on where Oda takes this after this. For me, I want to see how Luffy processes this. I want to see what I want to see if there's gonna be anything that serves as like a distinction between him and the other Joy Boy that came before him. I don't want it to be a 2.0.
Yeah, because for me, bro, this is why, and this is just me speaking my personal interpretation on life itself. For me, it's like I hate that thought process because that makes the accomplishments in my life feel trivial. That mindset of like, oh, it doesn't. I was supposed to be a big YouTuber, bro. No matter what, like I was always going to get here. That makes me feel as if like the work that I put in doesn't matter.
But
there's a double. That's a double.
You know
there's a double edge to that as well, though. People who think like that.
Because regardless if it matters or not, you did it and you're there. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel what you're saying, but at the same time, like we all are a product of whatever we're around. Actually, basically everything we think and do, we only think and do it because of the stimulus we were born into. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't choose your personality. You didn't choose the things that shape who you are. Like you don't choose any of these things. They all just
don't choose how many siblings you have. And where you're born in your family, it will change so much about you. Being the middle child, being the oldest, being the youngest.
This conversation is a slippery slope, man.
The thing is, bro, like it's not about you could have a destiny, but it's about how you act on it. Like if you're predetermined to do something, say like, okay.
No, but if you're predetermined, there's no escaping that.
I'm bringing Naruto.
There's no escaping that. There's no free will.
If it's predetermined, there's no acting on it because it's literally
no agency.
It's literally set in stone if it's determined. But that's the thing, right?
Then that just makes
it's like
destiny stupid.
Yo, y'all niggas is making us sound like just cogs in a machine, bro. Right now.
That's kind of hard. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
It's true, but.
We can't say that though, because look, one person will think that and another person won't. I don't have like I've got my own stance on it, but that's not even what I'm here to talk about. It's like it's in the context of One Piece with Luffy, it's very tough to see where Oda's gonna take this because it can very much feel like he's just fulfilling a role that was meant to be. The sovereign that will come, they've been waiting for 800 years.
So y'all telling me every time, so y'all telling me right now, every time I fucked another nigga bitch, I was destined to do it.
I mean, the thing is, it depends.
You didn't choose that woman for that as well. You didn't make her unfaithful.
That's crazy.
But think of it like this though, as well, though.
Hold on, what Fiji saying? Hold on, let me see what Fiji saying.
Think of it like this as well, though, right? People who believe in that as well can also find comfort in the thoughts that every fucking bad thing that happened to them was just gonna happen,
which is part of the plan. Exactly.
So there's different ways to look at it. Like people believing in everything being predetermined.
This to me, I thought about this too. I thought about this a couple times, Fiji, in the last week. This to me feels like the comfort conversation. It's like when people find religion, bro, a lot of times, bro. I feel like, and this is not the shit on people that are actually religious and like live in that religious. I know a lot of y'all, you know what I'm saying, there's Christians, Muslims, whatever in here, whatever, y'all have lived y'all's life that way. That's not to downplay y'all, but this is like, I feel like a lot of times in life when like people are going through bad things, it's very easy to grasp on the things that they don't understand for comfort. And I feel like this is kind of a similar thing. If you wanna believe in destiny, I feel like some people might, what you just said, oh well, this was gonna happen to me anyway. It's a response for niggas to not be anxious or stressed about it. It's like it's a stress response. People want to find answers for shit. Like when something bad happens, something good happens. Even sometimes in my life, when something really good happens, I'm like, damn, yo, something bad probably about to happen because something good happened, bro. Like there's times where like even I get caught in that weird thought process, and I feel like that is something that people do.
It's weird.
And yo, Sin, you know, sometimes like, you have to,
but I think to relate it back to the story though, I think that we're like, when it comes to One Piece and when it comes to like real life situations and concepts, Oda usually handles them realistically. So when it comes to the context of One Piece, that's why there are people like Yamato and an island that is like, notice that the islands that we have seen that are like the most like religious, right, are like Skypiea and now Wano, right? Both of them had like destiny and fate talks and shit going on there, and they were secluded places that were heavily into their culture. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so Yamato, being like a religious, faithful type person that believes in the destiny that her father talked about, who believes in what his clan had been teaching him, you know what I'm saying, isn't strange. Somebody like Luffy does not give a fuck about that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like, I brought up that whole. Oh, go ahead, Trip. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying like how you were saying like, oh, you don't really like how if somebody says everything you did was fate and shit like that. But if you went and talked to your heavily Christian grandmother, that's exactly what she would tell you. She said she would tell you that was God's plan for you. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like that. I feel like One Piece world will operate the same way the real world does.
Well, that's why I brought it up. I brought that whole thing up, the whole find a relief, find a comfort thing, because it's very related to the story, bro. It literally happens a lot, but it happened recently with the whole Nika thing. It was slaves creating a comfort and another man that they didn't understand, and it could have really been Joy Boy that they're talking about, but they didn't understand what the fuck he was doing, bringing grins and smiles to them and freeing slaves. They didn't understand who this man was, so they created this mythos about Nika, like hey, this guy was freeing slaves, and you know, this is somebody that we believed in, like, and I feel like
a god that shows up and frees niggas.
You feel me? Same thing. Like people do that even with small shit. Like look at and stuff like this, and it gets created all the time. Even fucking Santa Claus was created to explain why kids get Christmas presents. Like, bro, like niggas create shit, bro. Like, you know, and I feel like that's not what happened, dog. No, whatever the fuck happened, but no, that's what it ended up being modernized as, though. Trip. Like, I know that's not the original thing, but like over time, kids were just like, oh, that's why we get Christmas presents, because Santa Claus. Like, you feel me? Like, so like I feel like this Nika shit is like it's real. We know it's real now, but we know the fruit is real, but that's the fruit, nigga. It's not the dude.
No, but that, like I said, but I think we talked about this earlier. By it being a mythological zone, Oda is acknowledging that Sun God Nika is not an actual person. Like that's what
it's a myth. Exactly. It's a myth. Everything in
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
I think
it could be a real person. It could be a real person, but I doubt that the nigga's name was Nika. I don't. Based on it being a mythological thing, and based on the story who told, I believe Nika was a real person, but I do not believe that the nigga's name is Nika, bro. I don't think that.
I feel like it could have just been like
Sun God Nika is not a person. Like that's what I'm saying.
I feel like it could have.
Okay.
So when it comes
to that's what I'm saying. I think it was Joy Boy, and this Nika name is just what they gave it.
But when it comes to mythological zones, like you have like Sengoku with the Daibutsu, like Buddha. There was no Buddha. You know what I'm saying? In One Piece, there was no actual Buddha that existed. And also, when you have like Kaido's dragon, right? Like we've seen the type of dragons that exist. They're the Westernized dragons. There's the Westernized dragons, and then they refer to dinosaurs as dragons. But Kaido is the only Eastern type dragon in the world. He says it himself. You know what I'm saying? And the only other one that exists is Momo. To the point where when niggas saw Momo, they thought it was Kaido. You know what I'm saying?
Like, what the fuck?
Like, and there's no phoenixes.
Yeah, no phoenixes. There's no
like,
whatever the fuck Yamato is. I don't even know what she is, but whatever she is.
Exactly. So when it's a mythological zone, it's because that thing is just a myth.
Son, Yamato's like a dog, and she was like devil fruit of like what protects Wano, some shit like that.
Yeah, whatever the fuck. She like a, what is it, like a deer or something? I don't know what she is, bro. I don't care about Yamato. Whatever. Whatever.
She's a deer. I don't care.
I don't give a fuck, bro. Whatever. What up, King Sut?
What did you think 1,000 or 800 years ago? You think devil fruits had names?
Yeah,
bro.
Okay.
I feel like we're about to go into this somebody just said it in chat, literally what I was about to say. He said we're going to end up in some rabbit hole convo about how God isn't God's actual name, aren't we, bro?
Well, nah, I think the thing about Nika, the sun god Nika thing, is just Nika is just the name of the one that has the fruit. That's about it. Bro, the sun god is like the
epithet.
I believe that's
all it really
to exist and have that name, then the myth would have had to exist at first. Like that's the only way that fruit could exist.
Now, but as in, look at the way it's written. Like, even though in the chapter, it's like the sun god part is in quotations. It's like, epithet. It's like white beard. It's like white beard.
So you keep cutting out, bro.
Yeah, no, I feel what you're saying, but I'm saying for that fruit to exist, the myth would have to exist, or how would the fruit have a name? Like
of course, it's a mythical zone. Yeah, there has to be some sort of myth attached to it. I'm just saying that specific name itself.
Are you getting something sent to my phone, yo?
It's not a literal. It's just the name of the fruit.
That like when like slaves were like go to religion to like feel a type of way. What if Joy Boy had this fruit and it never had a name, and that's when the name came from, and then the whole Nika name just started being spread?
We just have no evidence of devil fruits ever not having names. So I mean, it's not impossible, but I just that just seems like a reach.
Whole time, Joy Boy's just a farmer.
Because I think that would be pretty cool.
You could be like a gardener that just happened to free slaves. I don't know.
Somebody said guy's name is Usopp. Chill.
Nah, that nigga spitting.
He's spitting for real.
And Trip, it might not be all devil fruits. It could have just been the gum fruit because it wasn't as like known as others, and the slaves gave it that name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, I don't know, bro. That I would need something more than just like a guess on that one. You feel me?
I actually just had like a really wild thought. If like you're saying like the myths like they didn't exist but like they kind of like became something that was like really important to people. Do you think if like more and more devil's fruits keep showing up, there will literally be like a Hito no Mi model Usopp? Do you think that will be a thing like in the future? Like that
800 years from now.
Model Usopp is insane, bro. We're gonna end the video on that one. That was insane. That was insane, yo.